I need to tell you something, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, because what's about to happen to Aries over the next few months is so significant that if you miss it, you're going to be kicking yourself for years. Your reality is about to flip completely upside down, and I don't mean that in some vague spiritual way. I mean tangible, visible, undeniable changes in your financial situation, your career trajectory, and your entire sense of what's possible for your life. Here's what's been happening, and you've probably felt this already. For the past few years, you've been in this weird holding pattern where you knew you were capable of more. You knew you deserved more. But somehow the doors just weren't opening. You've been putting in the work, showing up, proving yourself. But the recognition hasn't come. The money hasn't flowed the way it should. The opportunities have felt just out of reach. And if that's been your experience, I really need you to hear this. That wasn't failure. That was preparation. The universe has been positioning you for something massive, and what's about to unfold starting right now is going to make all of that waiting make sense. Because here's what most people don't understand about how cosmic timing works. The biggest breakthroughs don't happen when you're desperately chasing them. They happen when the energetic infrastructure is finally in place to support them. And for Aries, that infrastructure just locked into position. If you've been noticing strange synchronicities lately, if opportunities have started appearing out of nowhere, if you've been getting these sudden downloads of clarity about your next move, that's not coincidence. You're already feeling the leading edge of this shift. And what I'm about to break down for you is exactly why this is happening now. What specific areas of your life are about to transform, and most importantly, what you need to do to maximize this cosmic window before it closes. Now, I know some of you are thinking this sounds too good to be true. You've heard predictions before that didn't pan out. You've gotten your hopes up only to be disappointed. I get that. But what's different about this moment is the astrological signatures backing it up are undeniable. We're not talking about one lucky transit. We're talking about a convergence of multiple planetary alignments all pointing to the same conclusion. Aries is entering a wealth activation period, unlike anything you've experienced in over a decade. Let me paint the picture for you, because understanding the cosmic mechanics of what's happening makes all the difference. Right now as we speak, Saturn has just entered Aries for the first time in 29 years. That alone is massive. Saturn is the planet of structure, authority, and long-term achievement. When Saturn moves through your sign, it's like the universe is handing you the keys to build your empire. But it's not just Saturn. Neptune is also in Aries, creating this rare conjunction that only happens once every 36 years. And when these two planets meet at the very beginning of your sign, it's not just a new chapter. It's a complete rewrite of your life story. Saturn brings the discipline and the framework. Neptune brings the vision and the faith. Together they're asking you one fundamental question. What reality do you actually want to build? Not what you think you should want. Not what other people expect from you. What do you in your deepest knowing want your life to look like? Because for the first time in a very long time, the universe is giving you the raw materials to actually construct that vision. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and this is the part that's going to blow your mind. While Saturn and Neptune are restructuring your identity and your sense of possibility, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and abundance, is sitting in Cancer, activating your fourth house. Your fourth house is your foundation. It's your roots, your emotional security, your family wealth. Jupiter in this position is literally expanding your base of operations. This could show up as real estate opportunities, family money coming through, a complete upgrade in your living situation, or this deep internal shift where you finally feel safe enough to take the big risks. Do you see what's happening here? The cosmic architecture is setting you up for sustainable wealth, not lottery ticket money that disappears in 6 months. Not hustle culture burnout that leaves you exhausted. Real foundational abundance that changes your family's trajectory for generations. And the timing of all of this is so precise it's almost eerie. Here's what I've been noticing, and I've been tracking this closely. Aries natives who are paying attention have already started experiencing preview moments of what's coming. Maybe you got an unexpected job offer in the past few weeks. Maybe someone from your past reached out with a business opportunity. Maybe you had a sudden realization about a skill you have that could be monetized in a completely different way. These aren't random events. These are the universe showing you proof of concept before the main event arrives. And the main event I'm talking about happens on March 10th when Jupiter stations direct in Cancer. Jupiter has been retrograde since November, which means all of that expansive, abundant energy has been turned inward. You've been doing the internal work, clearing out old beliefs about money, releasing family patterns around scarcity, getting clear on what you actually value. But on March 10th, that internal work becomes external reality. The dam breaks. The opportunities that have been building behind the scenes suddenly flood forward. Now I want to be really specific about what this looks like practically, because I think a lot of spiritual content stays too abstract. For Aries, this wealth activation is going to show up in 3 primary ways, and if you understand these channels you can position yourself to receive maximum benefit. The first channel is career authority. Saturn in your sign is giving you gravitas. People are starting to see you differently. You're no longer the scrappy underdog fighting for recognition. You're becoming the established authority in your field. This might feel uncomfortable at first because Aries energy loves the thrill of the chase. You love being the rebel, the disruptor, the one who breaks the rules. But Saturn is asking you to step into a different kind of power. The power of being the one who sets the rules. What this means practically is you're going to start receiving offers for leadership positions. People are going to want you to consult, to advise, to mentor. Your expertise is suddenly valuable in ways it wasn't before. And here's the key. You have to be willing to charge what you're worth. One of the biggest blocks I see with Aries isn't valuing your own knowledge because it comes so naturally to you. You think if it's easy for you, it must not be that valuable. But that's exactly backwards. The things that are effortless for you are often the things other people desperately need and will pay premium prices for. Over the next 6 months, I really believe you're going to have multiple opportunities to step into higher paid positions or to restructure your business model to reflect your actual value. The universe is going to keep presenting these opportunities until you say yes. And every time you say no out of fear or false modesty, you're essentially telling the cosmos you're not ready for the upgrade. Don't do that. When the offer comes, and you'll know it when you see it because it will feel both exciting and terrifying, say yes before your logical mind can talk you out of it. The second channel is ancestral wealth activation. This is the Jupiter in Cancer piece, and it's fascinating because it's not always about money directly. Sometimes it's about resources, connections, or opportunities that come through family lines. Maybe a family member offers to invest in your business. Maybe you inherit property or assets you weren't expecting. Maybe you discover a talent or skill that runs in your family that you can now monetize. But here's what I think is really profound about this transit. Jupiter in your 4th house is also healing your relationship with receiving. A lot of Aries natives have this deep programming that says you have to do everything yourself. That asking for help is weakness. That if you didn't turn it through your own blood, sweat and tears, it doesn't count. And that programming has cost you so much. It's kept you isolated, exhausted, and operating at a fraction of your potential. Jupiter is teaching you that true wealth is collaborative. It's built on networks of support. It's about allowing yourself to be resourced by your community, your family, your ancestors. This might show up as finally accepting help you've been refusing. It might show up as reconnecting with family members you've been distant from and discovering they want to support your dreams. It might show up as this internal shift where you realize you don't have to prove anything anymore. You're allowed to receive simply because you exist. I've been watching this play out with Aries clients, and it's beautiful. There's this moment where they stop pushing so hard and suddenly everything starts flowing. Opportunities appear. Money shows up. Doors open. Not because they're working harder, but because they finally got out of their own way. And if you're someone who's been in that grinding, exhausting hustle mode for years, this is your permission slip to stop. The wealth you've been chasing is actually trying to find you. You just have to be still enough to let it catch up. The third channel, and this is the one that's going to surprise you most, is intuitive business decisions. Neptune in Aries is dissolving your attachment to logic as the only valid way of knowing. You're becoming more psychic, more intuitive, more able to sense what's coming before it arrives. And in the realm of wealth and career, this is an absolutely unfair advantage. Think about it. The people who make the most money aren't necessarily the smartest or the hardest working. They're the ones who can read the room, sense the shift, feel where the energy is moving before everyone else catches on. They're the ones who trust their gut even when the data doesn't support it yet. And that's exactly the skill set Neptune is activating in you right now. You're going to start having these moments where you just know something. You'll meet someone and immediately sense this person is important to your future, even though you can't explain why. You'll hear about an opportunity and your body will light up with yes energy before your mind has processed the details. You'll have a dream that shows you exactly what move to make next. And the Aries who win big over the next 2 years are going to be the ones who trust these hits and act on them quickly. This is where the Saturn-Neptune conjunction becomes so powerful. Saturn gives you the courage to take the leap. Neptune gives you the vision of where to leap to. Together they create this unstoppable combination of faith and action. You're not just dreaming anymore. You're building. You're not just planning anymore. You're executing. And the speed at which you can move from idea to implementation is going to shock people. Now here's what I need you to understand about timing, because this is crucial. We're in what I call the activation window right now. The energy is building. The opportunities are starting to appear. But the peak moment, the point where everything crystallizes, that's coming in mid to late March. Specifically between March 10th when Jupiter goes direct and March 21st when we hit the spring equinox and the Sun enters Aries. Those 11 days are going to be some of the most important days of your entire year. Decisions you make during that window will have ripple effects for years to come. Conversations you have, contracts you sign, risks you take. They're all being supercharged by this cosmic momentum. So if there's something you've been waiting for the right time to launch, that's your window. If there's a bold move you've been contemplating, that's when you make it. If there's a conversation you need to have about money or career, that's when you initiate it. I want to be really specific about what not to do during this period, because I've seen so many Aries sabotage their own breakthroughs right at the moment of activation. The biggest trap you can fall into right now is second-guessing yourself. You're going to have moments where an opportunity presents itself and your logical mind is going to come up with 1,000 reasons why it won't work. You're going to hear that voice that says you're not ready, you're not qualified, you don't have enough experience. Someone else could do it better. That voice is not wisdom. That's fear dressed up as prudence. Here's what I've learned about Aries energy, and this is something I wish someone had told me years ago. Your natural instinct is almost always correct. When you get that immediate hit of yes or no about something, that's your body reading information your conscious mind hasn't processed yet. But what happens is you override that instinct with analysis. You talk yourself out of the thing you knew was right in the first 3 seconds. And by the time you've convinced yourself to finally take action, the window has closed. Saturn in Aries is teaching you to trust your first instinct and then build the structure to support it, not the other way around. You don't need to have the entire plan figured out before you say yes. You don't need to see the whole staircase before you take the first step. What you need is the courage to commit when the opportunity appears and then the discipline to follow through. That's the Saturn-Neptune combination. Vision plus execution. Faith plus work. I've been tracking something really interesting with the Aries natives I work with, and it's this pattern where the universe tests your commitment before it delivers the full reward. You'll get a small opportunity first. Maybe it's not the dream job, but it's adjacent to it. Maybe it's not the full investment you need, but it's a portion of it. Maybe it's not the perfect client, but they're connected to the perfect client. And what I see happen over and over is Aries will dismiss these stepping stone opportunities because they're not the final destination. They're waiting for the big break. The one perfect opportunity that solves everything at once. But that's not how wealth builds. That's not how empires are constructed. Real sustainable success is built through a series of strategic yeses. Each opportunity leads to the next one. Each connection opens another door. Each small win builds momentum toward the bigger win. So when something shows up in the next few months that feels like it's in the right direction, but not quite the full vision, say yes anyway. That's the universe checking if you're serious. That's the cosmos seeing if you're willing to do the work even when it's not glamorous yet. Let me give you a concrete example of what this looks like, because I think examples make this so much clearer. I worked with an Aries client last year who was stuck in a corporate job she hated. She had this vision of starting her own consulting business, but she kept waiting for the perfect moment. She wanted to have 6 months of savings, a full client roster lined up, a polished website, the whole thing. And month after month she'd come to our sessions frustrated because nothing was moving. Then in January she got approached by a former colleague who needed help with a small project. It wasn't her ideal client. The pay wasn't amazing. It was only a 3-week contract. Her first instinct was to say no because it didn't fit her vision of how her business should launch. But I pushed her to say yes. To treat it as a test run. To see it as the universe giving her a low-stakes opportunity to practice. She took the project, and here's what happened. The client was so impressed they referred her to 2 other companies. One of those companies offered her a 6-month contract at triple her corporate salary. That contract gave her the financial runway to quit her job, and within 4 months of that initial small yes, she had built a consulting practice that was generating more income than she'd made in her entire corporate career. None of that would have happened if she'd waited for the perfect opportunity. The perfect opportunity was built through a series of imperfect yeses. That's what I mean when I say the universe is testing your commitment. It's not being cruel. It's being strategic. It's showing you that you're capable of building something from scratch. That you don't need perfect conditions. That you can create momentum through action even when you don't have all the answers yet. Now let's talk about something that's going to be really important for Aries over the next 6 months, and that's your relationship with authority figures. Saturn in your sign is putting you in direct contact with people who have power, influence, and resources. Bosses, investors, mentors, industry leaders. And how you navigate these relationships is going to directly impact your financial trajectory. Here's what I've noticed about Aries and authority. You have this complicated relationship with it. On one hand, you respect competence and you're willing to learn from people who are genuinely skilled. But on the other hand, you have zero tolerance for incompetence masquerading as authority. You can't stand people who use their position to control others without actually earning that respect. And when you encounter that kind of authority, your natural instinct is to rebel. To prove they're wrong. That instinct has probably served you well in some situations. It's kept you from being exploited. It's pushed you to trust yourself. But it's also cost you opportunities. Because sometimes the person in the position of authority isn't your enemy. Sometimes they're actually trying to help you. Sometimes they have resources or connections or knowledge that could accelerate your path. And if you're so busy proving you don't need anyone that you reject their support, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Saturn is asking you to develop a more mature relationship with authority. Not submission, not rebellion, but strategic collaboration. Can you work with someone who has more experience than you without feeling like you're losing your independence? Can you accept mentorship without feeling like you're admitting weakness? Can you let someone invest in you, promote you, open doors for you without immediately trying to prove you could have done it yourself? This is going to come up repeatedly over the next few months. You're going to be in rooms with people who have the power to change your life. And the question is, are you going to show up as the scrappy fighter who has something to prove, or are you going to show up as the confident professional who knows their worth and is willing to collaborate with others who can amplify that worth? I'm not saying you should compromise your values or tolerate disrespect. What I'm saying is there's a difference between healthy boundaries and defensive walls. Boundaries protect you. Walls isolate you. And right now, with all this Aries energy activated, you need to be building bridges, not bunkers. Here's another pattern I want to address because I see this trip up so many Aries natives, and it's the pattern of starting strong and then losing momentum. You're incredible at initiation. You're the spark, the ignition, the first burst of energy that gets things moving. But sustaining that energy over time, that's where you struggle. You get bored. You get distracted. You see the next shiny opportunity and you want to chase that instead of finishing what you started. Saturn in Aries is going to challenge this pattern hard. Because Saturn is the planet of completion, of follow-through, of seeing things all the way to the end. And over the next 2.5 years you're going to be forced to confront every project you've abandoned, every commitment you've broken, every time you started something with enthusiasm and then let it die when it got difficult. This isn't punishment. This is maturation. The universe is asking you to develop the capacity to finish what you start. Because here's the truth. The wealth you're seeking, the success you want, the recognition you deserve, none of that comes from starting 100 things. It comes from completing 10 things at a level of excellence that makes people take notice. So if you have unfinished projects right now, if there are things you started months or years ago that are sitting at 80% complete, this is your moment to go back and finish them. Not because you have to, but because completing things builds a different kind of energy. It tells the universe you're serious. It demonstrates you have the discipline to see things through, and that energy of completion attracts opportunities that require sustained effort. I had an Aries client who had written 70% of a book 3 years ago and then abandoned it because she got excited about a different project. When Saturn entered Aries, I told her the first thing she needed to do was finish that book. She resisted. She had so many reasons why the book wasn't relevant anymore, why she'd moved past that material, why it didn't matter. But I pushed her to complete it anyway. Not to publish it necessarily, just to finish it. She spent 6 weeks completing the manuscript. And the week she finished it, she got an email from a publisher who had heard about her work and wanted to discuss a book deal. Not for the book she'd just finished, for a completely different book. But the publisher told her later that what convinced them to reach out was seeing her body of completed work. They wanted to work with someone who could actually deliver, someone who had a track record of finishing projects. That's what I mean about the energy of completion. It's magnetic. It signals to the universe and to other people that you're someone who can be trusted with bigger opportunities. So look at your life right now. What have you started that needs to be finished? What projects are sitting at 80 or 90% that just need that final push? Make a list. Pick the top 3 and commit to completing them before the end of March. Now I want to talk about something that might feel uncomfortable, but it's absolutely essential for your wealth activation, and that's your relationship with money itself. Not just how much money you have, but how you think about it, how you feel about it. What stories you tell yourself about what money means. A lot of Aries natives have this weird relationship with money where you simultaneously want it desperately and also kind of resent it. You want financial freedom, but you don't want to be seen as materialistic. You want abundance, but you don't want to be one of those people who only cares about money. You want wealth, but you're afraid that having money will change you in ways you don't like. These conflicting beliefs create so much internal friction that even when money tries to flow to you, you unconsciously block it. You undercharge for your services. You don't negotiate. You give away your time and expertise for free. You make financial decisions based on what feels comfortable rather than what's strategic. And then you wonder why you're always struggling financially despite working so hard. Jupiter in your 4th house is bringing up all of your deepest programming around money and security. And a lot of that programming came from your family. Maybe you grew up hearing that money doesn't grow on trees, that rich people are greedy, that you have to work hard for every dollar, that wanting more than you need is selfish. These beliefs are so deeply embedded you might not even realize you're operating from them. But here's what I want you to understand. Those beliefs aren't truth. They're just stories. And stories can be rewritten. Over the next few months you're going to have opportunities to examine these beliefs and choose different ones. Beliefs that actually support your wealth rather than sabotage it. What if money isn't the root of all evil but a neutral tool that amplifies who you already are? What if wanting financial abundance isn't greedy but actually responsible because it allows you to take care of yourself and others? What if you don't have to choose between being spiritual and being wealthy? What if you can be both? These might seem like simple mindset shifts, but they're profound. Because your external reality is always a reflection of your internal beliefs. If you believe deep down that you don't deserve wealth or that money is somehow dirty or corrupting, you will unconsciously create circumstances that keep you broke. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because you're literally manifesting your beliefs into reality. So I want you to do something. I want you to write down every negative belief you have about money. Every story you tell yourself about why you can't have it or why it's bad or why you don't deserve it. Get it all out on paper. And then I want you to look at each belief and ask yourself, is this actually true, or is this just a story I inherited from someone else? Most of the time you'll realize these beliefs aren't even yours. They're your parents' beliefs or society's beliefs or some random thing someone said to you when you were 7 that you've been carrying around ever since. And once you see that, once you recognize these beliefs as stories rather than facts, you can choose to release them. You can write new stories. Stories that support your expansion rather than limit it. I want to talk about something that's going to be critical for your success over the next few months, and that's your energy management. Because here's what happens with Aries when opportunities start flowing. You say yes to everything. You're so excited about the momentum that you overcome. You take on more projects than you can handle. You burn yourself out trying to capitalize on every single opportunity. And then you crash. Saturn in Aries is teaching you a different approach. It's teaching you that sustainable success requires strategic energy allocation. You can't do everything. You shouldn't do everything. Your job is to identify the opportunities that have the highest return on investment and focus your energy there. Everything else is a distraction. This is going to require you to develop a skill that doesn't come naturally to Aries, and that's the ability to say no. Not because you can't do something, but because doing it would pull energy away from what matters most. Every yes to something mediocre is a no to something exceptional. Every hour you spend on a project that's not aligned is an hour you're not spending on the project that could change your life. I've watched so many Aries natives sabotage their own breakthroughs by spreading themselves too thin. They get 3 amazing opportunities, and instead of picking the best one and going all in, they try to do all 3 at once. And they end up doing all 3 poorly instead of doing one exceptionally well. Don't make that mistake. When opportunities start appearing, and they will over the next few months, you need to have a filter, a set of criteria that helps you quickly assess whether something is worth your energy or not. For me, that filter is simple. Does this opportunity move me closer to my primary goal? Does it energize me or drain me? Does it align with my values? If the answer to any of those questions is no, I don't care how good the opportunity looks on paper. It's not for me. You need to develop your own filter, your own set of non-negotiables that help you make quick decisions about what to pursue and what to pass on. Because in a high opportunity environment, the ability to discern signal from noise is what separates the people who build empires from the people who burn out. Here's another thing I want to address, and this is about your relationship with time. Aries operates on Aries time. You want everything yesterday. You have an idea and you want it fully manifested by next week. You start a project and you expect immediate results. And when those results don't come as fast as you want them to, you get frustrated. You start doubting yourself. You wonder if you're on the wrong path. Saturn is going to teach you patience. Not the passive kind of patience where you sit around waiting for things to happen, but active patience. The kind where you understand that building something real takes time. That wealth compounds. That reputation is built through consistent action over years, not weeks. That the most valuable things in life can't be rushed. This is going to be uncomfortable for you, because your natural tempo is fast. You're the sprinter of the zodiac. But what Saturn is asking you to become is a marathon runner, someone who can maintain steady, consistent effort over long periods of time. Someone who doesn't need instant gratification to stay motivated. Someone who trusts the process even when the results aren't visible yet. I know this sounds boring. I know it sounds like I'm asking you to become someone you're not. But here's what I've learned. The Aries who master this skill, who learn to combine their natural speed and initiative with Saturn's discipline and long-term thinking, they become unstoppable. They have the vision to see what's possible and the stamina to actually build it. They don't just start things, they finish them. They don't just have ideas. They execute them at a level that changes industries. That's what's available to you right now. Not just a temporary win, not just a lucky break, but the foundation for sustained success that lasts in decades. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes to build that foundation? Are you willing to slow down enough to build something that lasts? Are you willing to trade short-term gratification for long-term security? Let me tell you what I think is going to happen over the next 6 months if you work with this energy correctly. I think you're going to have at least 3 major opportunities present themselves. One will be related to career advancement or business growth. One will be related to financial increase, whether that's a raise, an investment, or a new income stream. And one will be related to your home or family situation. These opportunities won't all come at once. They'll be staggered, and each one will require you to make a decision. To say yes or no, to commit or walk away. And the decisions you make will determine your trajectory for the next several years. The career opportunity is probably going to come first, sometime in March or early April. It might be a job offer. It might be a promotion. It might be someone approaching you about a partnership or collaboration. Whatever form it takes, it's going to feel significant. It's going to feel like this could change everything. And it can, but only if you approach it strategically. Don't just say yes because it's flattering or because it's more money than you're making now. Ask the deeper questions. Does this align with where I want to be in 5 years? Does this give me the autonomy I need? Does this allow me to use my strengths? Will I respect the people I'm working with? Is this a stepping stone to something bigger, or is this the ceiling? The financial opportunity is probably going to come in late spring or early summer. And this one is going to require you to take a risk. It might be an investment opportunity. It might be starting your own business. It might be a major purchase like real estate. Whatever it is, it's going to feel scary. Your logical mind is going to come up with all the reasons why it's too risky, why you should wait, why you're not ready. But here's what I want you to remember. Jupiter only comes through Cancer once every 12 years. This is your window. This is your moment to make a bold financial move that sets you up for the next decade. Yes, there's risk, but there's also massive potential reward. And the Aries who win big are the ones who are willing to bet on themselves when the cosmic timing is right. The home and family opportunity is probably going to come in summer or early fall. This might be a chance to buy property. It might be a family member offering support. It might be a complete restructuring of your living situation. Whatever form it takes, it's going to give you a sense of stability and security you haven't felt in years. This one might not feel as exciting as the career or financial opportunities. It might feel more practical, more mundane. But don't underestimate its importance, because everything else you're building requires a solid foundation. You can't take big risks in your career if you're worried about where you're going to live. You can't focus on growing your wealth if your home situation is chaotic. This opportunity is about creating the base count from which you launch everything else. Now I want to talk about something that's going to be really important, and that's your support system. Because as you start to rise, as you start to step into bigger opportunities and more visibility, not everyone is going to be happy about it. Some people in your life are going to feel threatened by your success. They're going to try to pull you back down. They're going to question your decisions. They're going to remind you of every time you've failed in the past. You need to be prepared for this. You need to know that it's coming. And you need to have a plan for how you're going to handle it. Because if you let other people's fear and insecurity derail you, you're going to miss this window. You're going to talk yourself out of the very opportunities that could change your life. The people who truly love you and want the best for you will celebrate your wins. They'll encourage you to take the leap. They'll support you even when they don't fully understand what you're doing. Those are the people you need around you right now. Those are the people whose opinions matter. But the people who are constantly negative, who always find the problem in every opportunity, who make you feel small or foolish for dreaming big, those people need to be at arm's length right now. I'm not saying you have to cut them off completely, but you do need to protect your energy and your vision from their influence. This is going to be especially important in March and April when you're making those initial big decisions. You're going to want to talk things through with people. You're going to want validation and support. But be very careful who you share your plans with. Not everyone deserves access to your dreams. Not everyone has earned the right to weigh in on your decisions. Find one or two people who are further along the path than you are. People who have built what you're trying to build. People who understand the game you're playing. Those are your advisors. Those are the people whose counsel you should seek. Everyone else is just noise. Here's what I really want you to understand as we wrap this up. What's happening for you right now is not random. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is the result of years of preparation, of lessons learned, of growth that happened even when you couldn't see it. The universe has been positioning you for this moment, and now that the moment is here, you have to be brave enough to claim it. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to have moments where you think you're not ready, where you wonder if you're making a mistake, where you want to play it safe. That's normal. That's human. But don't let those moments stop you. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Take the leap even when you can't see the net. Trust that the universe has your back because it does. The wealth surprise I've been talking about. The reality flip that's coming. It's not going to happen to you. It's going to happen through you. You're not a passive recipient of cosmic luck. You're an active co-creator of your reality. The opportunities are coming. The doors are opening. But you have to be the one who walks through them. You have to be the one who says yes. You have to be the one who takes action even when it's terrifying. Over the next 6 months you're going to look back on this moment and realize it was a turning point. You're going to see how everything that seemed random was actually perfectly orchestrated. You're going to understand why certain things had to fall apart so that better things could come together. You're going to recognize that the waiting, the frustration, the feeling of being stuck, all of it was preparing you for what's coming next. Your reality is about to flip upside down. Your financial situation is about to transform. Your career is about to take off. Your sense of what's possible is about to expand beyond anything you've imagined. But only if you're willing to meet the universe halfway. Only if you're willing to do the work. Only if you're willing to bet on yourself when everyone else is telling you to play it safe. This is your moment, Aries. This is your time.